The scientific data tell us that we should all be getting anywhere from 150 minutes to 200 minutes per week minimum of zone 2 cardio for sake of cardiovascular health, cerebrovascular health, and a number of other aspects of health that are important essentially to everybody for health span and lifespan.
As someone who is exploring all things health and longevity, it seemed like a no-brainer that I had to give zone 2 training a try. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing everything I learned, the good, the bad, as well as my training results over the past 60 days. Now we're going to get into the science behind zone 2 training and why it's so beneficial, and our journey begins with the mitochondria. The mitochondria breaks down food into usable energy for cells, and all cells in your body are fueled by adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. Whether you're working out, going for a walk, or just reading a book, your body is using ATP, and ATP is produced in 3 different ways: through oxygen-dependent metabolism that utilizes fatty acid, through non-oxygen-dependent glucose metabolism, or through the recycling of previously stored ATP. So basically, in very simple terms, the training zone or heart rate zone that you are training in dictates the fuel source used to produce ATP. For zone 1 and 2, you are primarily using fat for fuel, or oxidization, and anything over zone 2 switches you over to your carbohydrate stores, or glycosis. Zone 2 not only increases the number of mitochondria, but also their efficiency, and the body's efficiency using fat for fuel offers benefits such as increased energy levels, improved athletic performance, better glucose control, and reduced inflammation. However, the benefits don't stop there. Zone 2 also improves cardio endurance as you train your body to adapt to use fat for fuel over carbohydrates. You will also be able to go faster for longer because you have a nearly unlimited supply of fat. So now we know all the benefits of zone 2. What is the best way to measure and train in this zone? Now this was actually a little bit more confusing than it should have been, and it was because I was getting mixed messages from our health and longevity Lord and Savior Andrew Huberman.
And that the best way to get zone 2 cardio to simply increase the amount of walking, in particular walking at a rapid pace that one does.
So after hearing Andy say this, and as someone who already walks quite a lot, I was under the assumption that I just needed to walk a little bit faster and I'd be getting all these amazing benefits. However, once I started learning a little bit more about zone 2 training, I'd quickly realize that that isn't the case. Well, specifically for me. Zone 2 training is working out with your heart rate between 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. Many factors will impact your max heart rate, such as your age as well as your overall fitness levels. However, I can tell you from all the methods that I've used and will share with you today that there's no possible way on earth that I can get into zone 2 by briskly walking. So the most accurate way to measure your zone 2 is by monitoring your lactate levels. However, you may not have access to one of these machines, and there are a few other options, and I've tried them all so you can figure out which one's best for you. Number 1 is the max heart rate test. Your max heart rate test, you want to go to the gym and jump on a treadmill, and then you want to start running at your 5k pace. Then every 2 minutes you want to increase the incline by 2% and keep doing this until you can't go anymore, and eventually that will lead you to your max heart rate. As zone 2 training is 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, you should be able to just calculate it from that number. Now if you don't want to do this method because it's not that fun, you can use the Maffetone method developed by Phil Maffetone. Now this is a very simple formula. You take 180 and you minus your age, and this should give you the maximum heart rate you need to be in to stay in zone 2. And using this formula, my zone 2 would be 130 to 142. And finally we have the talk method by Peter Attia.
As you can see, I can carry out a conversation. It's just not that comfortable. So don't get hot up in what your watts are and what heart rate is as a percentage of maximum heart rate. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just reproduce this level of exertion.
However, similar to Huberman saying that a brisk walk should put you into zone 2, I also found the talk method somewhat problematic. So once a week I've been running with a friend, and we run for about an hour and we talk the whole way. However, looking at the stats on my fitness tracker, my heart rate would be around 155 for the majority of these runs, which is well into zone 3. So I guess the goal is to be able to do your zone 2 training intuitively. However, if you're a complete noob like myself, I'd highly recommend getting a fitness tracker so you can at least experience what it feels like to be in each specific training zone. So I decided to get a heart rate monitor specifically for this video, and it made my life a hell of a lot easier. With the Frontier X2, not only was I able to monitor my heart rate in real time, but I was able to set a maximum and minimum heart rate zone, and this meant if my heart rate was too fast or too slow, the device would vibrate so I could adjust my speed accordingly. This meant I didn't need to keep checking my heart rate throughout the run, and using this monitor I can also show you what I look like in each training zone so you can see how different zone 1, 2 and 3 really are.
Okay guys, so this is me at a brisk walk, and you can see that I'm nowhere near zone 2, about 100 beats per minute. And yeah, the only way I can get into zone 2 walking is I'd have to be walking uphill. Okay, so this is zone 2 pace. I can talk comfortably, I'm still running, but I could hold this pace for an extended period of time. So this is zone 3, not much faster than zone 2, and you can easily get into this zone if you're listening to some music or chatting with a friend. Right, let's get to the final review.
So before I even get to sharing the data, I really want to share the anecdotal benefits I've experienced over the past 60 days. These include more energy throughout the day, improved mood, better sleep, better recovery, better performance, just generally feeling better. Now to the results. Now the only cardio I did before this challenge was walking, and my stats on day 1, according to my fitness tracker, was my VO2 max was 44, my resting heart rate was 53, and my HRV was 57. And after 60 days, my VO2 max is now 51, my resting heart rate is 44, and my HRV is 71. And if you're not familiar with these numbers, they're an improvement. However, it wouldn't be a Pete on Purpose video if I didn't break out some of the negatives that I've experienced over the past couple of months. First being that staying in zone 2 is quite difficult, especially if you want to run with a friend. You're going to be running a lot slower than what feels natural to you, so you're probably going to end up running on your own. I also think a good mindset to have when you're doing zone 2 training is to think that you're going for a jog and not a run. I also noticed with the increased amount of cardio that my hips and legs got tighter, like a lot tighter. As someone who already does daily mobility, I had to start adding extra sessions into the days that I was doing zone 2 training. And even with these extra sessions, I still feel a lot tighter than I did before I started running. Andrew Huberman also recommends to get the maximum benefits of zone 2 training that you need to do roughly around 180 to 200 minutes a week. So doing zone 2 training is quite time consuming. However, for me personally, I already did a lot of walking, so I just switched out walking for jogging. And finally, take it slowly and ease yourself in. I have a bit of an all or nothing personality, so pretty quickly I was doing 3-hour-long runs a week, and as well as my hips getting tighter, my feet took a battering. Overall, out of everything I've tried on this channel, this is going to go right at the top next to mobility and meditation out of things that you can do to improve your overall health and longevity. And guess what? All those things are free, and if you haven't tried them, I highly suggest you check them out. I've also now started implementing zone 3 and zone 5 alongside my zone 2 training, and if you're interested in hearing all about that, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.